All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah Bahashem, Yahawashi Bahashem, Rawchaa Qadash. Double honors to our teachers, the apostles, and elders of Great Millstone. Much respect to the brothers laboring worldwide in truth and sincerity, and salutations and blessings to the hopeful elect, believing on the words of Yahawah Bahashem, Yahawashi. Coming at you with another lesson, Lord willing, is edifying. And Yahawah Bahashem, Yahawashi is stirring things up. The Lord is stirring the pot. And you recently had, this Cincinnati brawl, which is a huge thing, on the scenes right now. And it's causing these Edomites to be in an uproar, man. It's causing them to feel some type of way. But all these things are orchestrated by Yahawah. See, he's setting the stage for Jacob's trouble. He's setting the stage for all hell to break loose on you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. Cause see, Esau, he hasn't that wrath that he hasn't subsided. It's just been put on the back burner for the time being by Yahawah. So this devil has kept his wrath forever. And you're going to eventually see these things come to pass. But again, it's Yahawah Bahashem Yahawashi that's stirring things up, man. The Lord is stirring the pot. Now I got this meaning, stirring things up. It says stirring things up generally means to cause trouble, create conflict, or provoke a reaction, often intentionally. So the Lord is intentionally stirring these things up, man. You had the bikers in that bar jump that so-called Negro, Yeah, now you have, in contrast, these five so-called Negroes, beat up and stomp out three Russians, man. These so-called white people wasn't even Americans, but you seeing the hatred and the vitriol of these American Edomites, man. So much so that they promoted, their Second Amendment rights, man. Which was a gift from our Lord Yahawashi as Isaac, So you're seeing now the Lord is stirring the pot. Going on in this definition in the AI overview, it says it can also refer to physically disturbing something like dust or water. But the more common usage refers to emotional or social disruption. And that's what's going to happen, man. Okay? The Lord is going to cause class wars. The Lord is going to cause race wars. The Lord is going to cause a civil war. And ultimately, he's going to cause World War III. It says, here's more detailed breakdown. Here's a more detailed breakdown, excuse me. It says, causing conflict or trouble. Right. This this Cincinnati brawl got people taking sides, man. It says this is the most frequent meaning. It implies intentionally creating arguments, bad feelings, or unrest between people. See that? And that's what we're getting ready to see, man. Again, it's Yahawah orchestrating these events real quick. This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 20 and verse 24. Man's goings are of the Lord. How can a man then understand his own way? So it's Yahawah who dictates the coming and going of men. Let's get this word goings. See what it give us. All right. It's going to say man's goings. Okay. It says step. Right. The things that you think you're gonna do. No, it's the Lord that's showing you He's doing it, man. All right. Every step you take, every breath as the song go, I'm paraphrasing. Yeah, it's the Lord that's orchestrating those things. You're going. Okay. Matter of fact, what is that? Is that Proverbs 21? Let's grab that. Yeah. Proverbs chapter 21 and verse 1. the king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, right? These certain leaders of the people, namely Trump, Putin, you know, yeah, their mind is in the hand of the Lord. It says, as the rivers of water, he turneth it whithersoever he will. So ultimately, this is the will of Yahawashi to stir things up, man. To bring these people to the brink of clashing. And guess what? That's biblical prophecy. You see? Now, real quick, what is that? He turneth. Let's get this phrase. Alright. It says to stretch out, extend, spread out, pitch, turn. It says pervert, incline, bend, bow. It says to spread out, pitch. Oh, down here, influence, see? So it's Yahawashi who's influencing the minds of the people on the planet Earth. We can read about that in, what is that, Job? Where the Lord sealeth the instructions the night before. So you receive your download of how the Lord's get down, man. Or how the Lord is going to instruct your way, as it were. But the influence of the people is orchestrated by Yahawashi. What did it say in Jeremiah? I know that it's not. Let's grab that real quick. Yeah, you're not orchestrating your own steps. Again, it's the Lord stirring the pot, man. Yup. Jeremiah chapter 10 and verse 23. It says, O Lord, I know that the way of man is not in himself. It is not in man that walketh to direct his steps. See that? So yeah, what we're seeing in the planet Earth, the Lord is directing people to World War III. He's directing them to Civil War. He's directing them to class wars. He's also directing them to a race war, man. Again, which is biblical. And I have this video queued, just going in the mindset of these Edomites. Let's play the video. Make sure the volume is straight. Salakia.
In Cincinnati.
Start it back over.
This is the aftermath of the lady that got beat up in Cincinnati. And this is what a lot of people of a certain color, a certain minority, are celebrating. And I know, because my video exploded talking about it with over 300,000 views, and I had hundreds of comments of people going, yep, they deserved it. I had people making videos regarding my video saying, yep, this is good. Y'all should be expecting more of this. This is karma. It's coming back around for what your ancestors did. We must have payment in blood. And if you don't believe me saying that, let's pay attention to a city councilwoman of Cincinnati herself. Let's look at what she said. Right here, Victoria Parks. They begged for that beatdown. I'm grateful for the whole story. And let's look at her bio a little bit. This is her. Victoria Parks, Cincinnati City Council. They're happy it happened. It shows you there are a lot of people that hate white people, that are racist against white people. And they want blood for what your so-called ancestors did. Even though they have no idea your bloodline, where your family came from, if they owned slaves or not. 1.5% of the southern people had slaves during the Civil War, but they don't care about that. They hate white people. So white people, I'm telling you, you need to plan accordingly. You need to know your environment. You need to know where you're at. And you need to keep your head on a swivel. And you should probably be an advocate for the Second Amendment hardcore.
Okay. You see how the Lord is stirring this thing up, man. he believe it's just dealing with slavery. Now it's all the things leading up to slavery and after slavery, man. It just ain't slavery. But it's the Lord that's now bringing up that ancient hatred between Esau and Jacob, and these things are going to manifest in what? A civil war. All right? It's going to manifest in race wars. You see? And this guy was up there, you can see that they didn't expect that reaction, that they seen, and that's one of the catalysts. You mess with that so-called Edomite, so-called white woman, which is the Edomite. They ready for war, man, and that's how it's always been. You heard the story of what's that guy name? Oh man, it's right there on the tip of my tongue. Where he got beat up so bad that he was unrecognizable. Oh man, real prominent guy, Or the story of Red, was it Rosewood, where they said that so-called Jake, had advances on the so-called white woman, and they lynched every Negro that they could find, man. So guess what? We're headed into those times where these things are going to be made manifest more and more. The Lord is getting ready to take the leash off this devil, man. And you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you're going to be in a bad case. But again, it's Yahawashi who's bringing these things to pass. This is Zechariah chapter 9 and verse 12. It says, Salakia, verse 13. It says, when I have bent Judah for me, so-called Negroes, right? Fill the bow with Ephraim, so-called Mexicans, which you see the hatred that they have for you so-called Mexicans, which is Issachar, right? And you see what they got, ill feelings toward the northern kingdom, Well, the Lord said, again, when I have bent Judah for me, fill the bow with Ephraim, and raised up thy sons, O Zion, against thy sons, O Greece, and made thee as a mighty sword of a mighty man. So it was the Lord that's orchestrating these events, man. He's the one setting the stage for these certain wars. This is 2nd Ezra, chapter 15 and verse 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and the destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. Yeah, what's the modern day sword? The gun. And what this guy said toward the end, he said, be a hard stance advocate for your Second Amendment rights, man. Oh, you see it down here. White people stay strapped, man. Well, that's what you seeing happen in the planet Earth, man. These people going to stand up and fight against one another with swords in their hand. Again, the modern day sword is the gun. It says, for there shall be sedition among men, and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the courses of their actions shall stand in their power. Right. When all hell breaking loose, you think they're going to be worried about a mayor, or a councilman, No, they're not going to be worried about it. They're just going to have to get it how they live when all hell is breaking loose. And eventually that's going to lead to what? Martial law, the lockdown of the cities. Continuing on, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. For because of their pride, the city shall be troubled, the houses shall be destroyed, and men shall be afraid. See? Yeah, that's what's coming, man. Isaiah chapter 19 and verse 2. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians. Right. You so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, you wholeheartedly follow after the way of Esau. So you're an Egyptian too. Oh, the Lord says he's going to set those two parties one against another. And they shall fight every one against his brother, and every one against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. See? So yeah, that's Yahawah showing you these things are going to come to pass, man. Salakia. Yeah, these things are going to come to pass, man. It's just a matter of time. We seeing how everything is happening in the planet Earth, and things are moving faster and faster. Again, this brawl got these Edomites in an uproar, man. And it was the Edomites started it. And they was Russians again. The Russians kicked the the so-called Negro, the so-called Russian kicked the so-called Negroes Tesla, right? And they got into an argument, went back and forth, and the Edomite Russian slapped Jake, you know. But they ain't bringing that out. They ain't bringing out who was the start of the conflict in the first place. That's how you know Esau is an uneven ass beast, man. You know. But again, all that's been orchestrated by the Lord is beautiful, man. You know. As you said, they beg for the beatdown. They beg for the beatdown. Yeah, you come into a whole nother country, you start talking shit and slapping people. What do you expect is going to happen, man? But again, that's Yahawah making these things manifest in the planet Earth, man. Again, stirring the pot. Okay, he's stirring things up. 2nd Ezra, chapter 16. And verse 68. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they shall take away certain of you, and feed you, being idle with things offered unto idols. Right, that thing, you know. But that burning wrath, all right, is kindled over you, Jake. You're going to see Esau show his horns toward the end, man. You know, it said at the end he will declare his wickedness. You see? This is the book of Mark, St. Mark, chapter 3, and verse 24. We'll start at verse 23 in the NLT. It says, Yahawashi called them over and responded with an illustration, which is what, a parable? How can Satan cast out Satan? He asked. A kingdom divided by civil war will collapse. So we're seeing the surety that this place is going to collapse, man. Because everything here is divided. Remember our Lord Yahawashi said, I come not to bring peace, but a sword. See? So you're seeing these things manifest in the planet Earth. It's signifying this place is on its way to a collapse. It says, similarly, a family splintered by feuding will fall apart, right? Yeah, you want this place to continue, whether you're a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American, you're part of the family of Esau, man. Why? Because you on the same wavelength, you know. You got a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, essentially saying you want America to be here. So you're part of that same house. It says, and if Satan is divided and fights against himself, how can he stand? He would never survive. And that's what we're seeing. This place is not going to survive. The division is heavy here, you know, and the Lord is stirring the pot so much so that, hey, man, everything is right there at the door. You know, it's really close. So I pray this has been edifying. Only of all praise, honor, and glory to Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahawashi, Bahashem, Rawchaa, Qadash. Double honors to our teachers, the apostles, and elders of Great Millstone. Till the next time, Shalom.